I welcome back Shelley Lime, who says, "Welcome to the Prof's Diversity and Multiculturalism. The direction of travel is civil war. I look forward to him telling me that he intends to do what he intends to do about it, other than pretending to himself that it isn't happening or blaming the mythical far right and the EDL, which hasn't existed for more than 10 years. Well, I entirely agree. The EDL has not existed in more than 10 years, but it is a blanket term that covers a, a concept that does exist. And that concept is this idea that there is something beyond, that there is a difference between Britain and a wider society. For example, the difference between multiracial and multicultural. Uh, I struggle with that one, really. Multiracial refers to the presence of multiple racial groups within a particular context, such as a society, a family, a community. It focuses on racial diversity, often pertains to individuals of mixed racial heritage. It can involve social and cultural dynamics that can arrive when people of different racial backgrounds interact, including identity, representation, social cohesion, and so on. Multicultural is the coexistence of different cultural groups within a society, which may be broadly the same sort of thing, or the two things may be interrelated, but they're not. Uh, they're they're markedly different. Multicultural is a defiance about keeping an original culture. Multiracial, you can't change your race. Can you change your culture? You can enrich. So I would see multiculturalism in terms of a different cultures coming into our society and enriching our society while retaining aspects of their own culture. But ultimately, integrating and sharing. Now, people who talk about multiculturalism in a negative way would see it as ghettoizing rather than integrating. And that, I think, is a misunderstanding. But we're using the same terms to describe different phenomena. And at that point, we start to get into a mess. Diversity is this broad term that encompasses the differences which can exist within a society. I used to be the secretary for an organization called the World Englishes Forum, and in that we were encouraging people to teach English in its many different manifestations. The English, for example, of Egypt or Lebanon, back in the news again at the moment. The English of India, very different to the received pronunciation of British English, what used to be called the Queen's English, the King's English, BBC English, and the teaching of English, which was so swamped at one point by the teaching of empire and the last vestiges of empire and British double-decker buses and so on. Nonsense. We need to teach what people experience, and embrace diversity. Diversity is good, but we must share it as well. Diversity, ethnic, cultural, racial, gender-based, sexual orientation-based diversity. It refers to the presence of different groups and individuals with varied characteristics and backgrounds, a celebration of difference. Vive la différence. The concept of diversity emphasizes the range of experience and perspectives that might be present within a community, within our society. Integration is the process of incorporating individuals and groups into our whole, in a way that ensures their participation, our participation in social, economic, political life. And unlike multiculturalism, which emphasizes the preservation of distinct cultural identities, integration focuses on a cohesive society where all members have equal opportunities and rights. And we need to have a balance between the best things in multiculturalism and the best things in diversity, but at the same time, the goal of an integrated, cohesive, and enriched society, a society that is enriched by diversity, not divided by diversity. And we need that balance between cultural identities, promoting shared values and participating together in that broader society. Multiculturalism, at its best, celebrates and preserves cultural diversity, but it must be linked to integration, to blend diversity into a unified functioning body. And as I say, I think the language that we use is faulty. The language itself is a problem. So I certainly don't see myself as somebody who's promoting multiculturalism as a form of division. I see it as a form of celebration. I see it as a form of as part of our integration process. The more we learn about each other, the more we integrate. Diversity is a reality, even within our own limited societies, even within our own limited families, we have diversity. And I don't think the direction of travel, with the greatest respect to Shelley Lime, is civil war. And as for the EDL, maybe I was over egging the omelette there, but the EDL doesn't exist. But the concept of the EDL, the rebranding of the EDL, yeah, I saw EDL in Brexit. I saw National Front in Brexit. And that has regrouped into Reform UK. So the seeds of the EDL are still active, whether we call them Reform UK or Suella Braverman's concept of the Conservative Party, or something different. Somebody advancing, holding a machete down the street, who will be arrested. But we need to change the narrative, and the branding. The branding needs to go. By all means, brand a knife. By all means, what is it? Identify that weapon and code it so that we can see where it came from. By all means, but you can't code people, because somebody who moves from one country to another is no longer from that other country. They're from our country. And, they're people with two identities. The Americans have understood this in a way. You say, oh, you're American, where are you from? And you mean which country, which country of origin? Oh, I'm Irish or whatever, Irish American. Very proud of that. And so you've got that two nation concept inbuilt into the American psyche. We need to have it here too. And that balance between integration, multiculturalism, and a celebration of diversity. And without that, the icons of Tommy Robinson and Farage will be used to divide and to spread discontent and division and hatred, whether Tommy Robinson or Farage intended or not. Their intention is irrelevant. They have long since abandoned their own identity. They have become icons. They live in the mind of others.